finally returned to his country. Abubakr Mansour Hadi is now back in Aden, from where he fled 6 months earlier, after Houthi rebels closed in on the southern port city. His return follows that of Prime Minister Khalid Baha and 7 ministers last week. Earlier, Al Jazeera's Hashim Al-Barra flew into the airport in Aden, where shipments of aid are still arriving.
Millions of Yemenis have suffered over the last few months because of the ongoing fighting between the Houthis and forces backed by the former President Ali Abdullah Saleh on one hand and forces loyal to the exiled President Abubakr Mansour Hadi. The aid which is being offloaded now is part of the assistance which has been provided by neighboring countries, but the international community is concerned. It says we need to see a political settlement anytime soon. The problem is that the President Abubakr Mansour Hadi and his government insist they will only join political talks if the Houthis surrender, hand over their weapons and pull out from the areas they control. Demands which have been rejected so far by the Houthis. The situation remains quite delicate and Yemen more politically divided than ever. Hashim Al-Barra, Al Jazeera, Aden.
Well, Abubakr Al-Shamahi is a Yemeni journalist based in London. He joins me in the studio now. Abubakr, what will President Hadi seek to do on his brief return to Aden?
I think it's more about what this trip is about, which is to present a symbolic, a PR move, if you will, to show Yemen itself and the Yemenis that he is still in charge. He is able to come back to the country, that the government is heading towards victory. In reality, though, the real issue here is his vice president, Khalid Baha. He's been there, as the report said, for a while now. He's the one who's really, I guess it's an open secret now, that in reality he will be the transitional leader if Yemen does get to that stage. And he's the person who has more legitimacy in the country than someone like Hadi. Hadi doesn't really have a power base in the country, isn't seen as legitimate by many in the country, even by those who are opposed to the Houthis.
The coalition against the Houthis is a combination of tribal militias, the southern secessionists, and other groups as well. How difficult is it going to be for this diverse set of fighters to maintain a united front as they head further north to try and take the capital, Sana'a? Well,
it's incredibly difficult, and we've already seen the coalition that you're talking about break down. So, for example, those southern separatists that you mentioned, they will in no way, and they have already demonstrated, they will in no way head to the north. They're not present in Marib. In Marib, they've had to come up with essentially what is a whole new bunch of soldiers, a whole new bunch of troops to try and take Sana'a. So the idea that this coalition will stay together is pretty far-fetched, and it's difficult to see how the Yemeni government and how the Saudi-led coalition will be able to balance the different aspirations of the different groups that are now part of this wide coalition.
And we see the coalition now moving. They've been going north, away from Aden and towards Sana'a recently, but it seems to have stalled. The offensive has stalled in Marib province, east of Sana'a. Why is Marib proving so difficult a fight for them?
Well, to be honest, even for Yemenis, Marib is considered the badlands, if you will, of the country. It's the unruly province. There are many tribes there that are fiercely independent, many of whom are anti-Houthi, but a lot of the time issues of money, patronage, things like that come into consideration. So there'll be problems there. There'll also be problems in terms of coordination. It'll be hard, and I've seen that it already is hard for the UAE and the Saudis and even the Yemeni army, or what is considered the Yemeni army, to kind of try and coordinate themselves with the Marib tribesmen, and it's hard for them to coordinate attacks, to even give coordinates of their positions to the Saudi-led coalition aeroplanes. And we've already seen incidences of friendly fire, for example. So even within themselves, forgetting their own enemy, even within the group itself, there are already problems.
What happens next, whether it is the President Hadi or his deputy Khalid Baha, who tried to take over or to form some sort of government next? They're dealing with a country that has been devastated both by Houthi shelling and constant bombardment from the air. How difficult is it going to be for people to recover from that?
Incredibly difficult, and that's the question, is can they recover? Aden, I assume, will be some sort of, or the push will be towards making Aden the temporary capital, at least for the next couple of years, in terms of their plan. But whether that plan even comes into effect is a real question. The rhetoric suggests that both sides seek the eradication in some way of the other side. And that simply can't happen. You're talking about huge segments of the Yemeni society here. Eventually, some sort of face-saving deal will need to be made for both sides. Otherwise, we'll see continuous bloodshed and everyone's a loser.
Abubakr Al-Shamahi, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, European Union ministers have pushed through a deal to